In the previous video, we went ahead and actually installed Python for Windows. In this video, I want to show you how to use the integrated development environment IDLE, which is actually included with Python. Now, this is for Windows. If you're actually running a Mac or you're running Linux, do refer to the separate section in this course and watch the videos suitable for your operating system. But we're actually going to have a look at IDLE. Now, IDLE is the, as I mentioned, the IDE or integrated development environment that actually comes with Python. And it's actually named after Eric Idle, a member of the Monty Python team. And the actual author of Python is a huge fan of Monty Python. And that's why he actually called it Python, actually. So what I'm going to do is actually start IDLE and just give you a bit of a work through of it. But bear in mind, as I show you this, we won't actually be using IDLE in the course. So we don't suggest you do that. And that's because there's a better solution, which I'm going to be showing you in the next video, called IntelliJ IDEA. And this is actually a software product that's actually really, really good and much more optimized and a better tool to use for Python, particularly when you're learning the new language. So let's go ahead now and actually run IDLE. Now, with IDLE, we don't need to go to the command line, to the command prompt that we did in the last video. We should be able to click on our Windows icon and have a look in our programs. Now, I'm going to click on All Apps, but this may be different depending if you're running Windows 8 or 7. But essentially, you'll go to Programs, and if you scroll down and go down to P or to Python, there should be Python 3.5 there, which is the new folder we created in the last video. So I'm going to click on that. And we should see there's three things there, but the one we actually want is IDLE, Python. So I'm going to click on that. And that actually loads up this thing called the Python shell. So effectively, I'm going to close down this browser window. And I'm just going to size this window up so you can see it a bit better. And this shell is the mechanism that enables you to actually type commands in and have them executed in Python. And we're actually running the IDLE, which I mentioned was the integrated development environment that comes with Python. So I can type something like 4 + 6 and press enter, and you can see it gives me the result there in blue. Now don't worry, I'm going to type a few commands. You don't need to understand what these commands are at this stage, and that's because I'm going to be teaching you that as we go through the course. What's important now is just to show you how IDLE actually works. So I'm going to type 4 I in range 10 and press the colon, then press enter. And notice how Python, when I press enter, automatically indented it. The cursor is now moved over here, and this is a fundamental component of Python that you'll be learning as we move forward in the course. Things need to be indented, and you'll find out more about that in future videos. But for now, I'm just going to execute or type the rest of this code in. I'm going to press enter, and notice how we're on the next line again now. And I need to actually then press the backspace or delete button to go back to the start of the line. And now if I press enter, that code will actually be executed. So if I press enter, and you can see the code was executed. So that's just an example of typing a command into IDLE and getting it to work. Now in terms of editing, this particular environment isn't the best, because if we wanted to go through and make a change to that command, we'd actually have to move our cursor up to that line, like so, and then press enter. Then it actually, you can see down here, it duplicates that line again. And we could then change the line or just press enter, press backspace or delete and press enter again to actually execute it again. So that's not the optimal way to actually develop Python apps, but it's good when you're actually just testing something quickly. And the other advantage is when you type in commands, you don't actually have to type the print to get the output. Normally when you type a program, and you'll see this later in the course, you actually have to surround with what you want outputted with the print command, as we did here. But in this first example up the top, we didn't have to do that. There is another way of doing things though. We can actually create a Python file. So we can come up here and click on File, click on New File, and we can actually type in a command. So I can type print hello world. And we can actually then run that. So if we go to click on Run and Run Module, it actually says, do you want to save this, or the source must be saved? So we click on OK to save it. And we'll just save it to our desktop now, and we'll call it Hello World. So press enter. You can see Hello World appeared in the desktop, and then also it automatically run, and we saw the actual output of it. So that's just a very brief introduction to IDLE. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we're not going to be using that in this course. Our suggestion is to actually use IntelliJ IDEA, which you can see is actually loaded here. And that's because it's got the mechanisms and capability to get you up to speed to be a Python developer quicker. It's got things like code completion. It actually checks your code as you're typing it. It gives you lots of hints. It's really, really a really powerful environment for developers. And it even gives you some warnings if you aren't coding in a particular way to help you establish good coding practices. So for all those reasons, plus the fact that it's just a lot easier to use and more powerful, we're going to be not using idle anymore. But as I mentioned, I just really wanted to give you an overview of what idle was. So if someone asked you about it, you understood what it was and you're able to use it. So that's this video done and dusted. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and download and install the IntelliJ IDEA so that we can actually start running some Python programs. So I'll see you in the next video.